So we are going to start with performance testing. So what is performance testing? So in this class or in this session, we are going to see what is performance testing, why do we do performance testing, and what are the different types of performance testings. So generally, how many types are there, uh, and what are the common problems we face generally while we are doing performance testing? Like not performance testing problems. So what are the performance problems we have generally in an application? And for everything we have a process, right? So I said in our initial classes also, like for everything we need to have a process. So what is the test performance testing process basically? So we'll see into all those things. And metrics, how do we take metrics of performance testing, and how do we write a sample test cases for this performance? We know how to write test cases for functional testing, but we don't know how to write test cases for non-functional testing, that is performance testing. So we look into all these things, and also like what are the different types of performance testing tools are there in the market, and what are their advantages and disadvantages, and why we are using this one. Okay, first starting with the what is performance testing. So basically, performance testing means like it's generally a software application which performs under some expected workload. Expected workload means uh, whenever an application is there, when n number of users are trying to work on that application, so at certain point the application gets crash. Okay, so it cannot withstand the load of that much. So we'll ensure that software applications are being performed well under certain expected workload. Expected means, say for example, Amazon is there. Amazon.in is expected per day some 1 lakh users. So they will make the application at least for 2 lakh users to work on it parallelly without any interruptions. So that is expected workload. See, an application doesn't mean that it's only of the functionalities, menus, all those things, and the features in the application, like how what offers it is giving and how images are displayed and all those things. Those are features and functionalities. Doesn't only concern of an application. Those are not only important. There are many other things. Many other things like, see, when we log into an application, we need to see that the application gets loaded fast. When we click on any icon in the application, the response should be more fast. When you are using the application, it should display clearly, properly. The application should be stable all the time. So if any number of users are using, it should be the scalability should be more like response time, reliability, source usage. These all also matters a lot for an application. Okay, not only functionalities and features. Here in our performance testing, generally our goal is not to find the bugs. Okay, in functional testing, our main goal is to find the bugs. But in performance testing, our main goal is not to find the bugs, but to eliminate some bottlenecks, performance bottlenecks. So how the system is getting struck, what are the problems we are facing, any coding errors are there, any those things, those are bottlenecks we need to be eliminate. So the main focus of the performance testing would be like speed, scalability, and stability. So speed is like how quickly the response of the application is. Scalability means how many maximum user loads the software can handle. Stability means like you can say how application is stable without varying any load under different varying loads. How stable the application is. So these are the main focuses of performance testing. Performance testing is also called as perf testing. In general terminologies, general usage, they call it as perf testing also. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Like that, why do we do performance testing? So what is the performance testing? Okay, fine. But why do we do performance testing? So the performance testing, like the different stakeholders, we need to provide to the stakeholders or the owners of the application that uh, the application is about the application speed, scalability and stability. The means like we need to explain how speed, how scalability, how stability the application is for the stakeholders, and the inconsistency between different operating systems and poor usability for finding out the inconsistencies and to uncover or to know the what need to be improved before going to market. These all need to be uh, known. Like okay, so let me show you. See here. So the system failure, the issues is like a system is running slowly while several users use it simultaneously. The inconsistency across different operating systems, a poor usability. To find out all these things, we do performance testing. Means like for example, in a 5 minutes downtime, for example, if a Google is down for 5 minutes, it costs some billions of dollars, right? So that is all lost. So if the Google is slow working, then we may lose interest. Okay, so these all things we will find out in our performance testing. Next, what are the types of performance testing we have? So we have different types like load test, stress test, endurance test, spike testing, and volume testing, and there are many other testings also. Like load test. Load test means like it checks the what exactly we do in load testing. Like we'll check the application's ability whether it can perform under certain anticipated loads or not. And the objective of this load testing would be to identify the performance bottlenecks. Bottlenecks before the before the application goes into the market, we need to find out the bottlenecks of the application, performance bottlenecks, and ability of the application under anticipated loads. That is load testing. What is stress testing? Stress testing means like it involves an application under extreme workloads to see how it handles. Means like when we have given the extreme workloads, we'll observe that how the application is handling, like or how it handles when there are the high traffic or high data processing are there in the application, how the application is handling. So the main objective of the stress testing would be like at what point the application gets breakdown. At what point the application gets breakdown. See, we have designed a application or application one e-commerce application we have created and it is working. For example, you see, if you have an idea, later some years back, we had a mobile launched in like for 221 251 rupees mobile, right? If you have an idea, so that application got breakdown after 6 lakh users have been logged in at a time. Okay, so we need to find out at what breakpoint the application is getting failed. So that is called stress testing. Endurance testing. Endurance testing is like to make sure the software can handle the expected load over a long period of time. That is called endurance. Endurance means, say, if the application can handle 1 lakh users for 1 hour without any problem, 1 lakh users for 24 hours or for forever, how it is going, how it is working for a long period means that is called endurance. Expected load over a long period of time is called as endurance testing. Clear, guys? So then spike testing. Spike testing means like uh, the soft testing the soft test the software reaction to certain large spikes. Large spikes means, see, for example, mi we can say like uh, Amazon is there. So in Amazon, generally daily 1 lakh users would be working. For example, consider. So on Thursday afternoon at 12 o'clock, MI is launching a new mobile for 5 minutes. The time would be like 5 to 10 minutes. That would be online. So at that time, at 12 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, the number of users increased drastically from 1 lakh to 10 lakhs. So the spike, the sudden spike at 12 o'clock and generates a huge load on the application. So the testing of that spike is called as spike testing. A volume testing. What is a volume testing? Volume testing means like large number of data is populated in the database and the overall software systems behavior is monitored. Means that a large data when we process, when we give huge data at a time, large volumes of data, how the system is behaving. Here we'll check the software applications performance under varying database volumes. So on the different volumes of database, how it is functioning. That's what we verify in volume testing. There are many other testing types also like scalability test or many other things. Uh, okay. So for now, these are okay. And what are the common performance problems we go through while we are working in an application? Most performance problems like generally they will be around the speed of the application, like whenever you log into an application, the application is not loading properly, and or whenever you click on a button, the response time what you are getting, or poor scalability, or as I said, like the speed, uh, scalable. Now, speed is one of the most important attributes on this application. So how speed the application is performing, because see, if the application is running very slowly, you lose your interest, right? Always say you'll say the application is getting very slow, or that is waste one. For example, see, network is there, uh, Geo, Airtel, Data, Idea, Vodafone are there. BSNL is there. So why everyone not going for BSNL, mostly for Geo or Airtel? Because the speed, the response, okay, response. For example, you say if you have any issue also, the response time from BSNL will be very less compared to Airtel or Geo. So this is an example I'm saying. The response of the application, okay, like that. Poor scalability, where at what it, at number it can handle the application, users, maximum users load the software can handle. Okay, so we'll go one by one. Like major is long load time. So long load time is like load time is normally the initial time it takes an application to start. So whenever you enter an URL and click enter the type the URL and click enter, so what is happening? How much time it is taking to load? Okay, that is called load time, long load time. And response time, poor response time. See, whenever you give certain input like login, user ID and password you have given, and you clicked on enter button, so how much time it is taking to get the output of that response what you have provided, of the input of what you have provided, what is the time gap? So when you click on login button and when the page loads, what is the time between the page loading and you're clicking on login button? So that is called response time. If you after clicking login time and you are waiting for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, very poor response, then that is very poor responsible response time is happening there. That is one common performance problem we see. Another one is scalability, which cannot handle the expected number of users, or when it does not accommodate a wide range of users. Next is bottleneck. Okay, so bottleneck, what is a bottleneck? Generally the bottleneck means like the bottleneck is a major obstructions what we have in a application, which will actually degrade the complete, demotivate, or lose interest and affect the overall system or overall application performance. Okay, so what does this bottlenecks mean? See, these bottlenecks are mostly like coding errors or hardware issues, coding errors or hardware issues causing the decrease of throughput under certain loads. So bottlenecking is often caused by one faulty section of code. Faulty section of code means, see, in coding they write some if conditions, else conditions, where conditions, here conditions, all conditions they will write. So in that, if any condition goes into the loop, means keep on rotating there only, in the loop only, and it is not coming out of the loop, then impacts a lot on the application. So that is called as bottlenecking. Okay, so there are many other bottlenecking issues. Some are like CPU utilization. So how much?
Your voice is breaking, Santosh. Can you repeat that bottleneck?
Okay, so so generally we have the performance problems are like a long load time, poor response time, poor scalability, and other major performance problem is like bottlenecking. So bottlenecking is one major obstruction what we face and which degrades the complete overall application, overall system performance. So these bottlenecks generally occur due to coding errors or due to hardware errors. So majorly it is like we can say one faulty section of code impacts the application and results in the bottlenecking. So to fix all this, we need to find out where the problem is happening. So this bottlenecking means in coding error means, for example, so there would be many if conditions, else conditions, where they all conditions would be there in the application. So if in the conditions, if it is not coming out of the loop, for example, and it is rotating there only in the loop itself, so it impacts. So see, for example, in banking section, you have done the transactions. When you are clicking to transaction transfer and it is not transferring and it is looping inside only, then it is taking a lot of time. Then you'll get more tension, right? So what happened to my money? So that is called as bottlenecking. Okay, so the some other bottlenecking issues which we can see is like in hardware side is like one is CPU utilization. If the utilization is more, it impacts a lot. Then memory utilization. How if see your laptop also, if complete memory is full, it will get slow. If the complete CPU is been utilized, it gets slow. Network utilization. See your data. If for example internet, you are taking some internet, and if yours is like 50 GB data, actually you have used completely and now it is 512 mbps, then it causes a lot to network utilization. Operating systems, so Windows operating system, so in Mac how it is performing, or in Linux how it is performing, and disk usage. So these are some of the hardware performance problems what we face under bottlenecking. Okay, so clear guys, some common performance problems. And see, for example, for everything we have a process, right? Initially, also we have said that in our manual testing, also we have a process for SDLC, STLC. For testing, we have a process. For development, complete life cycle, we have a process. So here also for testing, performance testing, we have a process. Like the first step would be like identifying the test environments. So see, process means like everyone may have their own methodology. Everyone can adopt their own methods to test the performance testing, to do the testing. But end of the day, the objective would be objective for the performance testing would be the same. Okay, there the methodology adopted for performance testings can vary, but the objective of performance testings remains the same and it does not vary. Okay, first understand that point. Okay, so there would be some predefined criteria for doing this one, or so for all these things we need to follow certain processes. Uh, One is like first step would be identifying test environment. Second one is like identifying the performance acceptance criteria, plan and design performance tests. So identifying test environment. So you need to identify your own environment. So how your physical test environment, your production environment, and what tools you need to use, what tools are available, what is the hardware you need to use, what are the software or network configurations. You need to identify all these things. So these are the test environment. So what are the challenges you have when after identifying the environment, identifying the tools. So what challenges you will be facing, you need to understand all those things. So for that, identifying the test environment is a very key one here in performance testing. Next is identifying the performance acceptance criteria. Means like this acceptance criteria means it includes the goals and constraints for throughput, response times, and resource allocations. It is like identifying the project site success criteria outside of these goals and constraints. See, Here identifying the acceptance criteria means like what are the goals, what are the constraints we have, we need to identify all those things. Okay. Next, plan and design the performance tests means like how usage is likely to vary among us end users. We need to identify the key scenarios, all the possible use cases, all those things we will identify the variety of end users, test data, outlines, metrics. So we identify all those things and we plan and design all those things in under this step. Configuring the test environment. So after we have identified in the test environment, we need to configure those all things, arrange all those things, how we need to test and all those things. And then we have written some test cases, identified some test scenarios in plan and test design. So we'll implement those things. Implement means creating the uh, test test cases again under those things, and we'll execute those test cases. Here executing means executing and monitoring is more important. Okay. So after monitoring we will analyze. So analyze, fine tune, retest and report. This is the last step of processing. So analyze means like we when we get the result, we will consolidate all those things and we will verify all those things. And fine tuning means, see, for example, there is an application which gets failed at 1,000 users. So we'll ask the developers to make it for 10,000. So after 10,000 again we'll uh, uh, do the application. So test the application. So under multiple test cases testings, for each test the improvements grow slow, this one smaller with each retest means we are tuning it to the best of the workload. Okay. Like also like we'll be finding the bottlenecks. So at what stage cpu uh, usage the application is getting crashed. So those all will be tuning it. And then after tuning we'll be retesting all those things after fixing. And then we will report all those things. Reporting in the sense like we'll be analyzing and reporting all those things, how it is working, at what loads, what are the failures, those all will be understanding in this. So that is the performance testing process. Okay. So next, metrics. So performance testing metrics, how we calculate the metrics. We we calculate the metrics based on the usage, processor usage, like an amount of the time processor spends executing non-ideal threads, or like memory usage, disk time, bandwidth, at what bandwidth the application is working, and like throughput means I'm using this word multiple times, I have used in earlier slides also. So throughput means like a rate a computer or a network receives request per second. Per second, how many requests a computer is getting. So that is called throughput. So throughput, response time, rollback processors, faulty faults or second commitments, collections. These all are some of the metrics what we collect while we are doing performance testing or after completing the performance testing. So maximum active sessions, at what ratios it is working, disk time, output, pooling privately, or like thread actives. So these all are some of the hits per second what we verify in metrics. Next, test cases. So how do we write test cases? Like sample test cases, like we write a like verify response time is not more than 4 seconds when 1,000 users access the website simultaneously. So our test case would be like this: like we will verifying the response time when verify that response time is not more than 4 seconds when 1,000 users are accessing the website simultaneously, or like check the maximum number of users that the application can handle before it crashes, or like verify the response time of the application under low, normal, moderate and heavy load conditions, or like check the cpu and memory usage of the application and the database server under peak and load conditions. Like that, these are the sample test cases. Like verify the response time of the application under load is within an acceptable range. See our acceptable range, what range it is working, and when the network connectivity is slow, or like we can say check the database execution time when 500 records are written simultaneously. So these are some of the sample test cases what we write while we are working on. So these are some of the tools. What are the that market? There would be many, right? So these are some of the performance testing tools currently used. So neoload is like a performance. It's a very beautiful tool which is used designed for DevOps, especially for a seamless integrity, for a consistent integration into your existing uh, continuous delivery pipeline. With Neoload, teams test 10 times faster than the traditional tools. Neoload makes to test 10 times faster than the traditional tools. Okay. Next is like a load runner. We can say load runner, HP load runner. It is now micro focus load runner. Okay, that's why I have used this symbol to make sure to make understand you that micro focus has taken now. So is the most popular tool in the market. This one load runner generally used mostly. So thousands of users putting the application under real life means like and thousands of users can access at a time. For testing thousands of users, this load runner used. And JMeter. JMeter is the best awesome tool now in the market, which is used for load testing of web applications and server applications. Why it is the best awesome tool? The main advantages what we find in JMeter is the first and the foremost advantage what we find in JMeter is it is a open source. It's an open source. Just download, install, and use it. Simple. No constraints, no conditions, nothing. Next is very user friendly. Third one is support. Support what we get. What under what samplers or what types of applications it's supporting. Documentations, recordings. All these are what we do get from JMeter. Okay, that's why now in the market, every I see just installing it is a free open source, right? So everybody can use it.
Santosh, what is that load view? One more tool is there.
Load view that is also some not this one for performance testing only, but in market that is not much used actually.
That is a new one, na?
Yeah.
Latest. Okay.
So load view is like mostly for you can say it's used for cloud based testings. Okay. So so these are some of the performance testing tools. Okay. So this performance testing is basically done on client server based applications only. Client systems or server systems, but not on other than these. So what are client or server based means you can say see and web application is a client based. Okay, but see a calculator is there. So calculator is not a client based or server based. So for that one you need not require any performance testing. Okay, so what under for what applications does performance testing can be done means for client based or server based systems only we can do performance testing. Okay, so what we can say in the conclusion is like performance testing is necessary before marketing any software product to make sure customer satisfaction and protects an investor's investment against product failures. Means at the end of the day, when you buy a product, the performance, how it is working is more important, right? If the application is getting stuck or if it is not working properly, then that is waste, right? So this is a basic thing about this performance testings, like how we do, what we do, why we do, and what are the problems we face in performance testings, what is the process we follow, what are the different tools. Okay. So any questions still here, guys? Any questions, guys?
Like, is this is covered under the manual testing part only, or it is totally different? Like how we can specify this in the resume?
Yeah, I'll say. So in resume, you can write as a if you are an experienced, if you are an experienced person, so Jaya or Mohan, you can add as a hands-on experience on performance testing using JMeter. Okay. So how to use JMeter, I'll explain you. You can practice it, and that will be the simplest part. Okay. Nothing will be complicated. It is very easy to use and to understand also. Okay. There would be some here and there some important questions for performance testing and JMeter testing. I will provide all those questions also, interview questions. You will just go through it. So in when you upload a resume in Naukri or in Monster, you should mention in the skill set as performance testing. Okay. So for mention, if you mention the performance testing as a skill set, it will you will have more opportunities to get more calls. Okay. Manual testing, performance testing. And if you are having performance testing, manual testing, and Selenium, then you'll get more calls. Means the ratio would increase. Say I keep only manual testing, I get only 4 calls. If you keep manual testing with performance testing, you'll get 7 calls. And if you keep manual testing and performance testing with the Selenium, you'll get all the 10 calls. There are 10 calls in the market, means all you'll get. Because you know my technology, you know your technology, and you know others technologies also, what the company is looking. Okay. But do update your resumes with performance testing also. Any questions, guys? Are you clear till here? So I'll start with JMeter. Okay. So I'm ending the session now. Again I will connect, so again please connect all, so that we'll start a new session with JMeter.